mu mawulire agakagwawo wetwogerera nga bannakibiina kya National Unity Platform abasibe abali mu kkomera boyinza okuyita ba political prisoners okuli Alex Swaswa Mufumbiro, Edward Sebufu oba Eddie Mutwe, Akirewo Kivumbi, Tasi Calvin oba Bobby Giant n'abalala okuli ba Olivia Lutaya, Sauda Madada n'abalala list nene bagenze maaso n'okuba nga baleetebwa mu kkooti ey'Ekanyanya olunaku olwaleero. Kanyanya magistrate ne bagenda maaso n'okuba nga ate babazaayo era wenjogerera bazzeeyo genda maaso n'okuba nga bawera ennemba n'emisango gye babateekako kye bayita Kawempe Chief Magistrates Court ebadde ewuliriza okusaba kwabwe okw'okweyimirirwa olunaku lwaliyo ng'ennaku z'omwezi 10 omwezi ogw'omusanvu omwaka 2026. Alex Swaswa Mufumbiro kigambibwa okuba nti kati mu kkomera eyo yali mu kukumaakuma abasibe bano wabula mbu abamu ku bo naddala bali eri abaluddeyo Bayasiini Machete n'abalala mbu bali mu kuteekebwako akazito. Waliwo ebitambula mbu bali mu kuteekebwako akazito bakkirize emisango gye batazza nga bwe mwawulira bwe baakola basaanya n'ebyaddirira mwabimanya. Kakati waliwo ababadde bagezaako ogenda maaso n'okuba nga batambuza emboozi eno n'engezaako okukola okunoonyereza n'enkizuula nga kino kituufu wandiba nga waliyo abali mugenda maaso n'okuba nga bakakibwa okulaba nga bakkiriza emisango wabula waliwo wano bye beetaaga okumanya okusinziira ku information gye nnina ngenda kuba nga nkutegeeza singa bano abantu bakkiriza nti emisango tuwagizza ekigenda okuddirira kigenda kuba ki bye nkuleetedde then Namwandu wa Jacob Olanya nga bulijjo y'omu ku bantu betumanyi abamanyi ku nsonga zino era abamanyi ku mateeka ag'enjawulo ayina ebigambo byagenze maaso n'okuba nga nnyonnyola mu katambi kano byenjagala owulire ng'era mu bigambo ebyo agenze maaso n'okunnyonnyola biki ebiyinza okutuuka ku bantu bano singa baba bakkiriza emisango n'ensonga lwaki oba oliawo gavumenti yandyagadde bano bakkiriza emisango mu katambi kano byenjagala okuba nga nkulaga ne munnamateeka omukulu amanyiddwa nga Sam Muhoozi yagenda maaso n'okuba nga akola kaweefube nga bwe yakoze kaweefube okulaba nga Muhanga Kivumbi afuluma era bw'atyo n'aba nga beyiro yagifunye. Kakati kaweefube y'omu gwaliko okulaba nga bano bagenda mu maaso n'okuba nga nabo bafuluma ekkomera kuba emisango gye babateekako ekyamazima kikakasibwa nti gino tebaagizza. Kakati njagala kujja nkulage buli kimu nkulage embeera gye bagenda mu maaso n'okuba nga babateekamu ogenda kutya.
Nsonga z'obufumbo olina omwami naye ng'akutawaanya olina omukyala ng'akutawaanya bajja ne bakwagalako ne bagenda gwe alina ebizibu mu byenfuna nga sente zikuyita mu ngalo wooteeka sente zifa bufi b'owola tebazza gwe aloota ng'ogwa mu nnyanja gwe alumizibwa omutwe nga guganye okuwona naawe aloota ng'ebintu bikozesa ensonga z'obufumbo nina ekifo ku mugga awali amayinja wennyambululirako ebisiraani ekikwa ekifiiriza omudibo obutaganja obutaweebwa nzijanjaba abantu ab'enzikiriza zonna nsiŋŋaanibwa njeru ku lw'ejjinja gwanjagala kuba ku nnamba yange eyo naawe aliye wale nnyo yita ku WhatsApp.
Kati bano bali mabega wa mitayimbwa newankubadde nga bali gumi tebali solid bagenda maaso n'okuba nga balaga nti tebagenda kupondooka wabula waliwo lisiti endala waliwo gurupu endala ey'abamachete n'abantu abalala nayo egenda maaso n'okuba nga ekyali mabega wa mitayimbwa. Kati okusinziira ku information gyenfuna bandaga nti bano bali mugenda maaso n'okuba nga oba be bano oba ye gurupu eri kyonna kyekiri wabula kyenjagadde okuwa mu vidiyo eno nti bano singa bakkiriza oba abasibe bonna aboogerwako singa bakkiriza nti emisango baagizza wulira bye bayinza okuba nga boolekedde. Ekisookera ddala kyenjagala omanyi okusinziira ku kunoonyereza okutonotono kwenkoze okukkiriza tekitegeeza nti bagenda kuteebwa basobola obutateebwa newankubadde baba bakkiriza emisango eyo si garanti nti bagenda kuba bateebwa kubanga pleading guilty does not always mean walking free immediately. Bayinza obutateebwawo kayinza okuba akatega ak'okubatega babeere nga bakagwamu. Wuliriza singa bano nga bwe nkugambye nti bakkiriza emisango accepting charges means they are formally convicted. Kitegeeza ekisookera ddala kyenkakasa nga naawe kyekizze mu bwongo obwo baba bagenda kusibwa era kitegeeza baba bakkiriza kigina emisango baagizza era gibasinga kubanga ye issue esookera ddala era y'ensonga esookera ddala okulaga nti mukkiriza emisango kituufu mwagizza. Jjukira abamu emisango gye babateekako nammwe mugimanyi. This permanent record can restrict their employment opportunities, international travel and ability to hold public office. Bano singa bakkiriza emisango kitegeeza baba bagenda records zino ziba zigenda kuteekebwa ku passports zaabwe, international travels zigenda kuba ziri restricted, aba asobola okuba nga alemererwa n'okutambula ogende bweru w'eggwanga. Bano aba asobola okuba nga bw'aba afuna omulimu mu kye bayita public office kiyinza okukalubamu era biyinza obutasoboka just olw'okukkiriza nti guno omusango yaguzza. Ekyokubiri kiba kimutedde waliwo kye bayita restricted employment opportunity, nti ono ne mufunayo omulimu, jjukira bw'anaagenda okusaba omulimu mu kampani yonna mu kitongole kyonna okujjako gavumenti emaze kukyuka, kitegeeza ajja kubeera restricted. Passport ye ejja kuba si ey'enkomeredde okutambula, ne bw'anaaba wa kufuna visa wajja kubaawo ebibuuzo bingi nnyo ku nsonga eno. It legally frames their political activism as singa bakkiriza omusango, kitegeeza bino bikolwa bye bali mu kukola n'abalala batannakwatibwa baba bakkiriza nti bino ebikola bimenya mateeka. Abamu bakwatibwa kukuba parade gye bayita ey'ekyempatiira, singa bakkiriza nti gino emisango twagiza baba nga bakonyeemu sitampu nti kati guno musango ekyamazima, n'abalala bandikikoze nabo bajja kuba bakwatibwa bayisibwe mu mbeera y'emu. Pleading guilty tekitegeeza nti bagenda kutambula baveewo bagende nti babeere nga bawonye. Bayinza n'okusalirwa emisango kubanga jjukira kino guno musango gubateekeddwako, babanga kati okuleetebwa mu kkooti babanga abalinze okubasalira n'okubawa ebibonerezo. Kati singa bakkiriza babanga abanguyirizaako kkooti obudde bwe yandimaze mu kunoonyereza babeere nga babakwata babaggalire. Uliriza. Courts and all military tribunals frequently hand down final sentences that require prisoners to serve several additional months or years in prison. Kitegeeza singa bakkiriza waliwo possibility ey'okulaba nga bajja kukwata emisango gino oba badde bagenda basa tugeze omusango gumwetagisa okubeera mu kkomera okumala emyaka 2 oba 10 oba emyaka gyonna. Kyangu nnyo okubagamba kati mugenda kwebakayo emyaka 10 oba emyaka bwegiti, dino ebbanga lye bamazeeyo tebagenda kulibala, kitegeeza baba bagenda kweyongera kwekomerera. Ekyokubiri batugamba nti the ruling government utilizes these admissions to publicly justify its crackdown. Baba bayambyeko gavumenti y'abano. Uliriza, international community eteeka abakulu bano ku nninga nti ebintu bye bakola kukwata abantu babakwata on political opinions. Kati singa bano bakkiriza bajja kuba bajustifyinze ekyo, gavumenti bajja kuba bagiwadde ebbeetu okugenda maaso n'okulaga mu international community nti mulaba ekyamazima abantu tetubakwatira bwereere, tubakwatira emisango gino nabo bennyini bagikkiriza. Akati ebirala bingi nnyo, njagala nkulekere oba nkuwe akatambi kano aka nnamwandu wa Jacob Olanya agende maaso n'okubanga annyonnyola, era omukyalo ono nga bwe nkugambye nga bulijjo atera okubanga ajja n'ataputa ku nsonga ezimu nga bw'alina soosezi ze, era nga bw'agenda maaso n'okufuna ensonda ezeesigika ne zimuwa amawulire, yasoose kuyozaayoza Muwanga Kivumbi then n'agattako emboozi zino. Lwaki bano tebasaanidde kubeera nga bakkiriza nti bagenda kukkiriza emisango egyo, abalimba erime nti bagenda kubafulumya? Ebigambo bye bifaanana bwe biti. Wuliriza, nzije tubeere nga tweyongera gwena mu comment section teekamu obubaka, ngenda kujja tubeere nga tweyongerayo n'ensonga eno.
Vice President National Unity Platform for Central, Honorable Muwanga Kivumbi kulikayo ekkomera liggwa. Okay? Prison imprisonment also comes to an end. Museveni has used every tool possible to try to dim the light of National Unity Platform, to bring us to our knees, to make us feel like we have no choice and we can't survive. But he has done everything he could possibly do, but change has remained. And Museveni knows firsthand that no matter what he does, Ugandans, and especially change wishers or change wanters, members of the National Unity Platform and all those who believe in change, cannot change because they're intimidated by him. The speakers are speaking, the actors are acting, the ones who are performing, the foot soldiers are being foot soldiers, the justice system is being what it is, the supporters of National Unity Platform is growing every day, back in Uganda, abroad, and every effort. He has imprisoned several, but imprisonment has not scared everyone. He has killed Ugandans, but even that has not deterred Ugandans completely from trying to seek change for Uganda. Therefore, I hope he has learned his lesson, but as we know, he's a stubborn one, so this might not even fix it for him. But he has done everything possible he could do to a human being to try to think that he can deter Ugandans from continuing to seek justice and change. But everything he has done has failed. Honorable Muhoozi Jiwunye has had the biggest reception since his release from prison today. He has made speeches in his area, and people have been up all night celebrating his success, his release from prison, his freedom, the ability of him to come back and stay as strong as he is. Honorable Muhoozi Jiwunye said if we thought he was strong, he is now stronger than he used to be. So I can't wait to see how much the Musevenis are going to feel, how bad they're going to feel, how much they're going to react to this. But for now, we celebrate and we thank the justice who made this possible. I'm sure Muhoozi and them are not happy about his release, and not happy about him being free, and not happy about seeing the reception that he has gotten from his people. But obviously, no matter what they do, change is in our hearts. No matter what they do to the low position, change is in our heart. No matter what they do to our structures or buildings because of the trade bill, change is in our hearts. No matter what they do for people who are working in Owino or working places and things like that, they cannot change what is in our heart. We want change. I'm here, far away from the land, Uganda. But I can tell you that if I don't make my contribution every day, I don't sleep well. That's how much change is important. That's how engraved change in Uganda is in the hearts of the people who wish and want to see change. So no matter what they do in Uganda, we are going to continue speaking, we're going to continue sharing, we're going to continue condemning them, we're going to continue sharing their atrocities, we're going to continue showing them that we are not completely out and down. We are not. So speaking of which, recently Museveni has been sending a lot of people to the prisons, people like Katikiro Mayiga, and a few others who he always sends to go and speak with the political prisoners. He's trying to talk them into accepting the crimes that he, Museveni, says they committed. In fact, I know that they labeled certain crimes on, like Eddie Mutwe, they said he stole a jumper. Achileo Chivumbi, that he stole a cell phone, which was never made by Techno, by the way. When they tried to recreate what the phone was that was stolen in that saga that they pinned on Achileo Chivumbi, the phone was found to be a phone that has never been produced by Techno. So you can tell that God is on our side. No matter what they do, no matter what they try to do to demean or to kill the light in our hearts, to kill the strength and the power that lives in us, they have no way of completely putting out the want for change. Okay, so they've talked to a lot of the prisoners. A few of them had been compromised, but every time they finish meeting with these people and maybe feel like they maybe could agree to certain things, our favorite and the strongest spokesperson ever in National Unity Platform, Alex Waiswa Mufumbiro, gets all his brothers and sisters together, the Olivia Lutayas, Achileo Chivumbi, Eddie Mutwe, and everybody, and says, you guys, let us not give up. He talks them out of it every time. And the police, the prison service have said, you know, as much as we try to talk to these people, even if we're going to make headway, like we feel like they're about to turn around, as soon as they meet with Alex Waiswa Mufumbiro again, they become stronger, they become more powerful. So we encourage our people in Uganda, the leadership, please pour in your strength into the prisoners who are already compromised, already in their lowest, already not doing well, already beaten. The only thing they have is their soul, is their strength, is their spirit. Therefore, it takes a different kind of communication to pour into them, to give them and build them from the inside out. So we're going to see about getting, you know, as much support from people outside of the jail cells to see how they can reach them in any way. Even if you have a connection with the police officer, see what you can do to reach them. Give them a message and to strengthen their heart, because surely they have physically been beaten. They are not well cared for. They are not sleeping well. They are not eating well. They are missing their loved ones. For anybody going through that, honestly, you can feel a little bit lost. You can get tempted to say certain things. We will never, ever, ever hold it against the prisoners for the decisions that they make. However, choosing to accept Museveni's crimes doesn't really mean you are going to be free. As soon as it goes on record that Achileo Chivumbi accepted that he committed a treasonous act, that becomes Achileo Chivumbi's history. Therefore, for as long as Museveni is in power, it does not guarantee that despite the promises of saying, we're going to buy you a house, we're going to buy you this, we're going to give you this much money, there is no guarantee that surely they will get whatever that is. But more so, your history, your name, what you answer to is more important than what you have. You have seen people who have everything, but as soon as they get amongst people, other people, they're a sign of disgust. It's because your name carries more weight than what you have, or what you can get, or what you have to show. Your name is your honor. So for all the prisoners, we know, and that's why we get the fuel to do what we do, because we know it's hard. We know it's hard, and we know it's difficult, and maybe you'll get tempted. But let me tell you, as soon as they paint something on you, Museveni will dangle it like this. You will never come out and feel free. Okay? You will not feel free. He will pick you up and put you back in as much as possible. And if so be that the pressure that's coming from outside is Zaluganda. Yes, some of it is allowed. So as long as Museveni is feeling the pressure from abroad, the pressure that is asking him for accountability of the prisoners and the prisons and the atrocities and the human rights violations, for as long as there is that pressure, it means that Museveni can still pick them up in future if something does become of a need for him to demonstrate that he's active, that he's truly fighting like now he thinks he's fighting corruption and this and that. He thinks he's doing that in doing all these things to Anita Mong, Chris Obore, and all of them, because he's acting to display to the Western world, to the people who hold international treaties against human rights violations, that he's actually doing something. So your name, if Museveni labels you something, believe me, you can never take it off you unless the government changes. And that doesn't mean they cannot bring you back and forth like they've been doing now, but even with a heavier arm, because now they have a reason to do the right thing, or do whatever they think is deemed for the crime that they're saying you did. So let us protect our names no matter what they do. Let us not accept the crimes that we did not commit, especially the ones who are being held, that he knows that he's using them as weapons to try to demean National Unity Platform. So despite Katikiro or whomever is coming to speak with them, strengthen our brothers and sisters. I've started a series where I'm going to keep sharing about each individual prisoner, to talk a little bit about them so that the world can know what these people are about. Let us put a name, let us put a life behind this person, Sebufu Edimutwe, this person, Olivia Lutaya, this person, so and so. Let us keep them in our eyes, before our eyes, in the media, in all forms of social media. Let us keep that going, because somehow the world will know that he's not doing what he's supposed to do, and they can do something with Museveni. Okay, so let's keep that going. I understand that because Waiswa Mufumbiro is doing a lot to change the hearts and minds and pour into the souls of the other prisoners, they are figuring out how to get rid of Alex Waiswa Mufumbiro. One of the ways that they think they can do that is to separate him from the main prison and take him to a different prison where he does not have the same company of the strongholds of the political prisoners, that the core, the bodyguards, for example, of His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, Olivia Lutaya, the ones who they feel like They have made waves. They've been in the media. People have heard about them. They think they should eliminate, they put him in a separate place. If not, they should try to eliminate him quietly in the prison cells. I shared something like that because they can do something like that. However, if it's shared, everything that he will do, anything that Wise Mufumbira will go through will be implicated on Museveni, for sure. So let us keep their memory alive. Let us not have them, their names, what they are, where they are, die down, because Museveni enjoys the peace of not having free so and so, free so and so, free so and so, because it awakens the world, the Western world that are he's trying to get money or things from. Okay, so we promise to keep that and keep that alive. But more so, if you have a chance to meet them, some of you work in the prison services, you do something small here and there, get close to them and say, I see you, I'm doing, you know, whatever you need, let me know. Bring them something nice, do something for them, because it goes a long way. In a changed government, let me tell you, if this government of Museveni falls, okay, the people who will not be asked to leave will be the people who know in their hearts that they did something to Ugandans who are wishing for change. National Unity Platform. They'll all pack their suitcases. Nobody's going to tell, you know, somebody like Balaam that it's time to leave Uganda if Museveni is no longer in Uganda. Nobody's going to tell him. All these people will pack their bags separately and go because they know what they've done to our people. So keep them alive, keep them poured in, keep them full, hopeful. You know, hope is the things, is the faith is things unseen, but hope is the fuel of the soul. If somebody hopes that there will be something good in their future, they'll do whatever they can to live for now. So let's give them that, because it is necessary. Okay, they're in the hardest place possible. We are free, even though those people who are behind bars are more free than Ugandans who are outside in Kampala and Uganda at large, because in those areas is where they face the most suffering. Ugandans are suffering in ways you cannot imagine. All the demolitions of houses, the stifling of business activities, all of this, poor healthcare and all of that. The people outside are more prisoned or in prison than those in the jail cells. But even then, being behind four walls or however many walls, it diminishes you as a person. Restriction from being free to be yourself and do what you want. It makes you break a little bit every day. So let us keep them empowered, keep them full, pour your souls, pour your strength in them, give them faith, give them hope, because when things change in Uganda, you know, there'll be the heroes that will always remember, that will celebrate and award appropriately, because what they've given is beyond what we could give, more than what we can give, because at least we are free to choose what we'll eat, what we'll drink, what we'll, you know, we are free to choose the basic needs of life, but they don't have a means to. So any chance you get to support a prisoner, please do it wholeheartedly, because only you might be the hope they have at the moment of when you meet them. Okay, so I spoke about that. All right, let's go into today's major posts or shares. Let's talk about Anita Among. Do you remember the cultural leaders who went to visit her at her home, and they met with her and they took a picture outside of her house or in the yard or something like that? Those people have been begging to meet Museveni and talk to him regarding Anita Among, obviously. And Museveni dodged them for a while because he has nothing to say to them. Museveni has a made-up mind. Museveni met with them, and just to make them feel comfortable or feel happy or feel content about meeting Museveni and getting a positive response, Museveni told them that he's going to definitely let the IGG go through the process that Anita needs to go through. However, he's going to come in later and see how to save Anita Among. That was before and while he met with these leaders from Teso who came to visit him. However, as soon as he finished that meeting and he met with his family members, and Museveni said Anita Among cannot survive his hands, and what he's going to do to Anita Among is going to be something that she'll never forget. He said that Anita Among has become a snake in the green grass and a cancer in the government of Uganda or the NRM as complete as possible. He said that he's going to make sure that Anita Among will never rise again, and he'll make sure that Anita Among is dead. He's not talking imprisonment, he's not talking disappearing Anita here and there. He says Anita Among he must kill, because Anita Among has become a cancer and a snake in the green grass. If you do remember the saga of Anita Among's arrest and all the wealth that Anita Among had, apparently Anita Among's wealth is tied to South Sudan Salva Kiir. The president of South Sudan, Salva Kiir, is a huge link to Anita Among's wealth and the way she interacted and threw her weight. Somehow, if you don't know, Museveni is the kingmaker of Sudan. He is the one that got rid of Garang. Garang's airplane, as soon as it took off from Uganda to head back to Sudan, Museveni shot at it intentionally and sacrificed the pilot and Garang himself so that he could replace him with somebody who he wanted in Sudan. He was done with John Garang. I actually recently met a very good friend of John Garang here in the United States. A really, really good friend of his. Somebody from Sudan who is not even, actually he's not Sudanese. And he told me about how this whole ordeal unfolded. And he too had to leave as a refugee. So Museveni, in the mix of Anita Among, after meeting the cultural leaders and you know, putting rosy glasses on them and saying, oh yes, I'll release your daughter, don't worry, you can go back, you know, I care about Anita Among, I made her who she is, I'm going to make sure that I take care of her, nothing will happen to her. Meanwhile, like I said, when Museveni says this, he means this. So anyway, if he doesn't mean any harm to Anita Among, why is she not free to live? If IGG is conducting their own independent research, why is Anita Among not free to exist and go to court and do whatever it is? So that just goes to show you how this man functions. He says this, but he means that. He does not mean exactly what he says. So anyways, Museveni is very upset with Anita Among because Anita Among was pulling her weight and trying to destabilize, apparently, the government of Museveni. Anita Among had great allies in South Sudan, especially with Salva Kiir. That grand building that Anita Among has, apparently, it is a home where Salva Kiir heavily invested, and he planned to, once he retires in South Sudan, to come and live and retire in Uganda in the backyard of Anita Among. Both of them had planned to somehow figure out how they can topple Museveni and begin to run the country, as Anita Among being the president of Uganda, or whatever the other arrangement could be. When Anita Among was picked up from Sudan, from her home, and taken to Museveni for questioning, all that time that we did not see Anita Among and this, that, and the other, they interrogated her severely and got a lot of information. This information included the people she had been working with, who told her to do what, who sent her to do what. That is the reason Chris Obore is now in jail, because all of the links to whatever was transpiring about Anita Among, a change of government and all this, even if it was not necessarily a change of government, Museveni was scared. And nothing scares Museveni than feeling like he's getting the carpet pulled from under his feet. So anyways, Anita Among said a lot of things. She was tortured, she told what she knew, and all the people who have participated in Anita Among this, that, or the other, or finance moving here and there, are all going to be captured. And all of them are going to pay duly. All of them. So Museveni plans a huge war in South Sudan because he's now suspicious that Salva Kiir is trying to destabilize his government. Museveni wants to take down Salva Kiir first. And in a way, he's going to cause a war in South Sudan because, you know, Museveni has history and cases have been filed against him destabilizing South Sudan. All the ammunition that was in the saga of that gentleman from PLU who's now wanted by the United States, all those ammunition that came in illegally, ammunition that was given to Museveni to go and fight wars in Somalia, he turned those same ammunitions to South Sudan. And that's where the war crimes on Museveni in South Sudan are recorded. And they are with Human Rights Watch, International, the ICC, International Criminal Court, the United Nations, all these international bodies on human rights and peace have evidence and information about Museveni's involvement in South Sudan. So South Sudan has been his backyard and playground. Till today, Museveni has a lot of, you see, all these Ugandans. I was in a WhatsApp group in a Choli sub-region where there's a list of Ugandans who have been enlisted in the military, in the UPDF. I don't understand why Ugandan people, or youth especially, why they join the military of Uganda. Because let me tell you this, when there is a war, or when Museveni needs to fight a war, because he starts them and he fights them and he ends them, it is all Museveni on both sides and all sides and every side. A lot of the war that's being fought in Sudan, where they want to cut off a region and make part of Rwanda and make a Rwandese territory in South Sudan, the people who are fighting there are Ugandan military. Ugandan-born military are the ones being sent to fight in South Sudan. When they die, nobody tells the families who went where and whether they're alive or not. A friend of mine, Strike Machine, today posted a friend of his who he grew up with, a young man who he grew up with. They were best friends. All of a sudden, he signed up to join the military as a recruit, as a cadet. Today, he's dead. No explanation. All they said that he died of a blood clot. But a lot of Ugandans are dying in South Sudan. Very many Ugandan young men and women who are enlisting in the military are dying in South Sudan without any records anywhere. Museveni doesn't care about bringing the bodies back. Even if he does bring the body back, it is a military operation. It is not about you and burying your person. They make sure it's done as quickly as possible and it's done with, gotten rid with. Nobody asks any questions. Okay? So, Museveni, you can tweet this, you can share this, but Museveni wants to dislodge Salva Kiir. He wants to kill Salva Kiir or get him off the presidency. He has already prepared another person to take over the presidency in South Sudan. So, I have some Sudanese friends, but if you do have some Sudanese friends, alert them that Museveni is coming. It's not like this is new. He's been in South Sudan all this while and he continues to commit atrocities. I'm going to share this piece, obviously, with where it needs to go, but it needs to get out as soon as possible that Museveni, within the coming weeks, wants to get Salva Kiir off the presidency of South Sudan and put whoever he has groomed to take over that position. Okay? He also doesn't want to give Riek Machar, who is in line or something like that. Riek Machar has been in opposition to Salva Kiir for a long while. But that's all the arrangement of Museveni, to try to keep only one of them in power. He just plays ping pong and to see who's going to stick where. Okay? So he doesn't want Riek Machar, because Riek Machar was the vice president and ended up, I think, on house arrest or something like that. He has no chance at being president of South Sudan, but Salva Kiir is not going to live long in the next coming few weeks. He wants to make sure, because of the threat posed by Anita and everything she did with moving this, that for Salva Kiir. Even the Rolls Royce is said to be bought by Salva Kiir for Anita Among. Okay? So it was a big trigger. When they saw it, they knew that Anita Among could not afford it on her own. Then they learned that Salva Kiir all along has been part of Anita Among's life and influencing change in that region. All right. Mobile money stations in Uganda. It has been decided by the Musevenis that mobile money stations are no longer going to be owned by any Ugandan. They're either going to come up with a bogus law. If not, they're going to forcefully cause a situation such as licensing or certain requirements that are too stringent for a Ugandan to continue pursuing or working on mobile money. What they want to use mobile money for is an opportunity to be able to spy on Ugandans everywhere. As you know, the Kabano, or the Rwandese groups, the Kabano is an organized group of people from the top level of the presidency of Uganda, like Museveni, and at the highest level, to the person who walks Q-Tex on the neighborhood, the person who sells clothes, the LCs, the people who are around on the grassroots level. And Museveni knows better to use or to empower the grassroots resources for his sake, so he can get information. Museveni can tell you who lives in what region, what plot, and what they do, because every day they are sharing information to him and feeding him what's going on everywhere. That is why it is imperative that the youth of Uganda today, especially change-wanting youth, to go in and join the elections, the local council elections. Go register, go sign up, go and run for office, because there is no way change is going to come to Uganda if we don't infiltrate every space. Every space in Uganda must be filled with change wanters, because Museveni has turned all the M23 who ran away from Congo and came into Uganda. They're giving them identity cards, giving them names, and sending them to local regions, to the grassroots level. You see, sometimes I see videos from northern Uganda where the Balalos are walking their cattle and this and that and the other. There are times where you'll watch those people on a phone call and they're calling somebody, and you can almost suspect that it's somebody in a high place. It is true that that is the case, because they are connected like fibers from every region, communicating directly with the head. That Mulalo man who is walking around with his cattle, believe it or not, can call Museveni directly and give him an update about what's going on in a village somewhere, and get an answer from Museveni, including advice on what to do next. So grassroots are really important. When you start that far or that close to the ground, you can influence more, you can inform people, you can make the right decisions. Nobody will come and steal land anyhow, because they will know that the person in this position is not somebody who can easily be messed with, is not a Rwandese, will not accept a Rwandese, and will question, who is this buying this land? How did you buy it the right way? How did you get it? When did you get it? And all these things. So being in the right place at the right time, I think, will get us prepared for when change comes around. We will be able to defend our honor, defend our land, defend our people the right way. And I'm not talking violence, I'm not talking about that, but I'm just saying legitimately using the law, fighting them off by saying, this is not right, you are not born here, you cannot do this here, you cannot do this and that like that. So everyone who can become or join the LC race, local council race, please join, please register. If you're lacking funds to do it, we will figure out a way to do it. It is imperative that the youth get involved in positions of democracy. Vote, make your opinion known, make your choice known, otherwise you'll fall for anything. Okay? And if not, they will impose what they think and want on you. Imagine if these people capture the LC positions. That means that they will steal elections day in, day out. They will be even more organized in the next election, because apparently they know that Museveni did not win. Obviously, they know he did not win an election. But do you know the true number of Museveni's loss? It is 6.4% of the whole general election for presidency in 2026 on January the 15th. Museveni only got 6.4%, no more. 6.4. So they know the facts, but every day they are preparing for the next thing. As much as they are on their way out, because every sign points to that, they try to grasp on straws for today. Museveni lives for today. He doesn't know what tomorrow brings. He doesn't know if he'll be alive tomorrow. He doesn't know if he'll wake up tomorrow. He doesn't know if he'll still have this government tomorrow. But we have the ability to dream. We have the ability to plan. We have the ability to act. Let us use our advantage to continue driving change forward. Okay? They're preparing for these LC positions like no man's business. This might be the bloody election in history of Uganda, because as you know, the LC positions had been paused for a long time because Museveni had his people in certain places. But some people have died, some people have quit, some people have moved away. So he's losing on his spies as far in the grassroots as possible in the LC positions. So take up those LC positions. The other thing that I talked about the mobile money stations. Those mobile money things are going to be as though the money lenders all over Uganda. You know that there's lots of money lenders everywhere. And the purpose and the reason for them positioning as they are is so that they can share information, they can report, they can take over wealth, they can do all these things. So just like they're using money lenders, just like they're using mobile money stations, they also want to register a lot of M23 and Rwandese at local council levels. So let's take up those positions so that we can take control and stay in control of our regions. Next person I want to speak about, okay, let's, for the sake of, because maybe she's Ugandan, I don't know. Namere. Namere is one of the persons in parliament that will likely end up like Nebanda, not because she acts like Nebanda, but just because she can go out like Nebanda, and we may not even realize when it happened or how it happened. The reason why Namere was chosen to be in that position as a minister, and that they made sure she won the election, is because Namere is a good tool that they can use to move certain things. One of the things is she does not have any shame. She does not care what she's asked to do. She will not care to report or not. She is already inappropriate and easily soured in our taste, okay? When there are certain people who already hate Namere, it helps the Musevenis, because if something happens to Namere, it doesn't necessarily have to point to them, okay? So Namere is going to be used a lot and eventually will be eliminated by an accident or some sort of poisoning. The fear that they have for Namere, being that she talks quite a bit and is always talking, is the fact that Namere might speak about Anita Among in parliament. And the fear about that is because they don't want Namere to speak about that. Nobody's supposed to talk about Anita Among in parliament. That one we know. It is the reason why they've chosen, you know, a different speaker, and they have, you know, they give certain people the microphone and not everyone. Namere is going to be used to perform their whatever they need, their jobs, their dirty jobs, and then eventually they'll eliminate her. But right now she's trailed by ministers who have to tame her, control her, so that she does not bring up Anita Among on the floor of parliament or on the ansad. They don't want it recorded on the ansad whatsoever. So she will be used, but she's not allowed to speak. Eventually, when she's done with her what she's supposed to do, they will get rid of her. But she has done so many things already to Ugandans that I don't know if anybody really cares what becomes of Namere. I don't think so. Something else that I wanted to mention is that there's a woman who is being sharpened to come up in the opposition stage. Is somebody who we already like, somebody we respect. She's a Ugandan, but she has been coerced and convinced to play an active role in seeming like a new and fresh opposition, so that she's accepted by Ugandans and welcomed as a neutral and a clean opposition party or person. Sorry. This person we are all aware of. I cannot mention the name right now because it's unbelievable that she will even be, some of you will think I'm nuts for saying it. So let us wait for this to unfold a bit more, and then I'll say it when the time comes, or when it's right for us to say who it is. I will mention it and you will be like, oh my gosh, that's who I thought it was. All of you know her. I believe it. You all know her. You care about her. You love her. You believe she's something, you know, she's in for the good reason or good cause, but she's not. And that's how Museveni has always been. Like I said, Museveni does not do anything and straightforwardly. Everything Museveni does means something else, especially not something good for Ugandans. So that person that he's preparing to come out to look and be received in a big way by change wanters or opposition or whomever, he's preparing her because he thinks that once we have that twist, then they can remain in the presidency undercovers. So it's not about this woman even coming and taking on the position and existing as her, being the new face of change in Uganda and staying that way. No, it's because they want to use her as a curtain, but they will operate from the background and do whatever they need, just like they've always done. As I said, Muhoozi is acting straight out of his father's playbook, doing everything to help us connect when Museveni came and what Museveni did, or the things that happened, to what Muhoozi is doing now. There is absolutely no doubt that he's actually doing those things that his father did. We no longer question how certain people died, how certain things happened to some people, you know, the Kairas, the people who supported him, because his father, Muhoozi's father and Salim Saleh asked him to get rid of Babu, Cedric Babu, who was a dear friend of his, because Cedric Babu is a brilliant person. Now we know how Aronda Nyakirima ended up. We know why. We know how. Now we know that in Kalangala, the Nachimuli obviously was gotten rid of so that they can put this NRM person. We can relate. Now we know that Janani Luum surely was killed by Museveni. Now we know that several people, several examples, Noble Mayombo, all these people who helped Museveni somehow, who ushered him in, or who seemed like a threat to him. Museveni told his son, I did all this, I killed all these people because they were going to topple me, or they were more brilliant than I was. If Cedric Babu can put something like this together for you, imagine Cedric Babu begins to work with the opposition, he will get rid of you. Or imagine Cedric Babu starts something on his own, he will make sure to get ahead of you and you will lose your position as the president of Uganda. So they told him that will make him strong and bold to exist without fear, such that if a woman, a man, an elder, a young person, you know, a baby, if he must kill them and it comes up to his mind that he should do it, he's not going to think twice. He'll be emboldened by the atrocity of losing his dear friend in his own hands, with his bare hands. These guys are sick. I don't call that intelligence. I think that is sickness, mental illness. You know, there's a story about Hitler. And this is interesting because you know that Hitler was born in Austria. Hitler ran away from Austria to come to Germany because he didn't want to be in the draft. He did not want to join the military in Austria. Some countries of the West require that every youth that is of a certain age joins the military first, serve the country, then leave and do whatever you want. But you have to give your country a few years, 2, maybe 4. There's different terms or whatever, timelines. Adolf Hitler ran away from Austria, his country, into Germany because he did not want to participate in the draft in Germany, in Austria. While in Germany, Austria requested that Adolf be extradited back to his country, Austria. And Adolf found a way to not be able to go or not have him released back to Austria. Now, what happened then? Had Adolf left to go back to Austria, if Germany had extradited Hitler back to Austria, the Holocaust would not have happened. Do you know that? The Jews would not have died, because after Hitler was left in Germany, when they said, you know what, let us protect this guy, Hitler became the one person who wanted to clean Jews from the face of the earth. That is Museveni. That is Museveni. Had it been that they did not let them into Uganda, had it been that every opportunity anybody had to let this Museveni get out of Uganda, had they done their part at a certain time, the next thing would not have happened, the next would not have happened, the next wouldn't. But it's too late. So we have to put certain things in place to prevent certain things, especially when we've seen it so many times. Let us stop Hitler in Munich. Let us stop Museveni somehow. Somehow, because in the continuance, he's now teaching his son. The next thing we'll know, Muhoozi's son is at Sandhurst. Natasha's son is also at Sandhurst. They're learning how to come back and make Ugandan's life even worse. Amongst the plans that they have, even if they may not come to fruition, they're working on it. Somehow, if Adolf Hitler was stopped or returned to Munich, to Austria, he was stopped in Munich and said, go back to where you came from, the Jews would still be here. The Holocaust would not have happened. It makes me remember the transition of things, the way they happen in Uganda, the way Museveni has done things, and now his son and the plans and so on and so forth. It brings me to that type of thinking, because if this continues, you know, if we don't put a stop, if we don't join the LC positions, if we don't try to take these, occupy space where it's necessary, it'll be very difficult to walk certain things back, because they're casting a net and they know, like in the World Cup recently, when the US played, I shouldn't probably comment about this, but when there was a red card issued, okay, and somebody called off the red card, it gave those people who were given the red card, those people who had the red card taken away from them, it made them used to winning, and they feel like they did not have to work extra hard to try to win in the next game. You see, because when you struggle for something, when you get it, or when you get to it, it feels good. You feel like you've achieved something. It's important. You protect it. Or if not, you strive even harder when you need to get and you know what you're trying to get. So I'm saying, let us all fall in with everything we have to try to make sure we get to where we need to be, to try to secure our country, Uganda, because they're planning all day, every day. They're trying to do something. Okay? And obviously the bad apples, like the Nammeres, time will catch up with them. But let us focus and stay on course with what we need to do to get where we need to do. So when that opposition woman comes, please ignore any opposition woman that is going to be promoted, that is going to be as if they're seamlessly rising up the ranks, or without being treated like His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu or the foot soldiers. We can easily compare. All of a sudden, the LOP position has become of interest, and they want to eliminate the LOP or Joel Senyonyi, because they don't want him to be at that position, because Joel Senyonyi is the true opposition. Now is when we know that all the previous leaders of opposition and opposition parties were working for and with Museveni, because now and only now are they questioning the leader of opposition position. Why did they not call off when it was Professor Ogayan Latigo, when it was Nandala Mafabi, when it was Mpuga? They even gave him some extra. They gave Mpuga 500 million cash for being a great leader of opposition. All of a sudden now, they don't want a leader of opposition or the whole position altogether. Why is that? It is a big indicator that we are doing the right thing, that we are the right opposition, and that we are in the right place, and that we must, if we need democracy to live in Uganda, that position and what that position means is important to uphold and hold. But even if they take it, just like he has killed people, just like Museveni has imprisoned a lot of change wanters, just like Museveni has killed or disappeared change wanters, taking the leader of opposition is not going to give Museveni peace of mind. It's not going to change us and what we do. It's not. He can keep it, he can take it, they can try whatever they do, but it's not going to change anything. And that's what Museveni has failed to understand. It is no matter what he does, he's not going to change how much we want change and how much we're going to fight him. And we're not going to stop. He has the majority in parliament. You would think he'd be satisfied. He stole the election. You would think he'd be grateful and satisfied. No. But like they say, a thief, when you steal something, you cannot be settled on the inside. He thinks that we are in his brains, trying to unwind things or wind things up and down. So now we know for the very first time from the coming of His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu that there used not to be an opposition in Uganda. There used to be actors, political actors, who are sent by Museveni to go and do what they want. Today I saw something about this Kabanda guy saying that they are now going to go for an arrest, or they're going to try the president of UPC's wife. Among? I think she's called Among. Is it Among? I think so. Apparently, and this is no surprise because the Musevenis exist on corruption all day, every day. Only until they want to get rid of you do they awaken these bones or skeletons in the closet. It is possible that they could have even used her to move certain things here and there. The person I was thinking about was Katunji. Katunji is the one who has been the arms dealer for the Musevenis, because they really can't say that they got the guns from anywhere else, because the Musevenis are the only ones who have guns. Any action that has to include guns comes from them. The people who went and killed on the day of elections at Honorable Muhanga Chivumbi's home were military men, and some of them even died on the spot. So the way this thing works a lot of times is Museveni has a series of people he sends on a mission, and none of them knows what the other group is told. So the first group that went and shot at people at Muhanga Chivumbi's home, there was another group that was sent to go and eliminate the ones who went to shoot those guys at Honorable Muhanga's home. Indeed, he'll testify in his speech earlier, he said that there were 7 people, civilians, who were killed in his home. But 3 of them were not civilians, but they were quickly undressed and the clothes were put away to the side. 3 military people who were sent first to go and kill people at Honorable Chivumbi's home had followers who also got rid of them because they didn't want those people to talk. Now the second group did not know what the first group went to do, but they were sent to do away with the first group. And that's how this guy works. That's how Museveni works. So the Anita Mongs and all of that, they have to pay because they benefited or they worked with him and did all these things for him. However, they must not live because he doesn't want them to speak. Wangadia is another one. Wangadia, Museveni has said, has become a cancer. Wangadia is now, because she knows a lot about the facts about human rights violations. There's been a lot of filings, efforts made by National Unity Platform and other independent people in Uganda who went and filed their own cases because they were attacked by strays or intentionally during dispersing crowds or whatever. Some people lost their children, some people lost their lives, others lost limbs. But ever so often they went and filed a case with Wangadia's office to report what happened to them. Now, because Wangadia knows a lot of that, and Museveni gave her responses which he wanted her to say, even if they were wrong, he ordered her and said, this is what you must say and not the truth. Because he wanted the world to see that Bobby Wine and his people were doing these things to themselves. Wangadia said the people who disappeared just went into hiding. Wangadia said things like the people who looked like they were burned or tortured themselves. They bit themselves. The people who were, the 18 who were disappeared in Luuka, she says that they just went into hiding. And the ones who we're searching for, because somehow they were picked up and taken away, she says, well, there's no record of them anywhere. That means National Unity Platform has been lying all along. Now, because she made such comments, Museveni is going to use just that to take her in and take her down. And he says Wangadia must not escape because Wangadia knows a lot. And if Wangadia makes any testimonies at the United Nations or any of those offices, Wangadia will take him down. Because Museveni is under pressure to give accountability about the people who were disappeared in Luuka, the constant imprisonment, the constant torture of people, the constant abuse of power, the constant misuse of democracy in Uganda, even though he pretends that there is democracy existent in Uganda. Now is the time the rest of the world is waking up, because every time he puts in an application or a request for money or funds here and there, they show him a video and say, what does this mean? Can you explain what this means? What's the accountability on this? What happened here? What did you do to these people? All the time. All of a sudden you see that he has woken up the case. He has allowed for the case of Kauma. Kauma, the one of the first people who was killed when His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu was in Arua campaigning for Honorable Basalirwa. All of a sudden there is a case that has been registered, but there has never been a report that was filed or listened to on the people who were killed in Honorable Muhanga Chivumbi's compound by the military who showed up and just shot at them. I was honestly shocked. You know, I felt like Museveni can, you know, embarrassment. I thought maybe he cannot surpass that. But when Museveni arrested Muhoozi Chivumbi, and yet Muhoozi Chivumbi had about 7 cases to file against the state about militia coming to his home and killing 7 people on the spot. But he ended up going to prison for a crime less, which is something he didn't even do. But on speculations of a certain, I felt like Museveni has no shame whatsoever. And I feel like we can handle this guy. Because honestly, it doesn't add up. On that day, there's videos. There is proof that at Muhoozi Chivumbi's home, Museveni sent militia to go and shoot at people. And people were killed. But how does Muhoozi Chivumbi end up in jail? Do you see that? Like, is this man nuts or what? In any case, Muhoozi Chivumbi would have been the one who would never step foot in jail because he has other cases against the state. No, those cases were not allowed any platform. Never. The family members and the people who talk about those cases say cover their faces even when a small video is recorded about the incident. They don't want to be known. They live in fear. I'm sure they were intimidated not to ever speak. But just to show you how far this Museveni can go and how evil these people have been, nothing surprises me. If somebody tells me Museveni did this, I'm not surprised. He got rid of his own mother because he did not want his mother to tell Ugandans about where he came from, that he's not Ugandan. He did away with his own mother. What more can he do for anybody in Uganda? And that brings me to a point where people say, Museveni tuyambe, Museveni help us, Museveni konywa. What do you expect from a president or a person who has failed you at every level? Every level. You cannot point to one thing that Museveni has done for the people of Uganda. Even the people who say Museveni brought peace do not know that Museveni was the 9th person who came and committed the atrocities and then came back in the morning and said, I'm so sorry about what happened. Museveni himself, Museveni, Kagame, Rijema, and a few others came in the night and slaughtered people in Luero and killed a lot of people in Luero. In the morning, they sent a crew, or they came themselves and said, Obote is a terrible person. Idi Amin is the worst human being, you guys. I can't believe he could do this to you people. Same person, 2 different scenarios. Since then, Northern Uganda I was born in 1986. I have never known Northern Uganda without war while I was still in Uganda. Never. Straight, 18 to 20 years. People lived in camps. People killed every day. Children not in school. Elderly dead. People cut up into and cooked in pots. Students, Abore girls and all the places. Child soldiers everywhere. You wonder how come Museveni is known to be a peacekeeper in the region, Somalia and so on and so forth. But in his backyard, Joseph Kony thrived for 20 years. That is another siasa of Museveni. To tell you that Kony was a rebel in northern Uganda in the backyard of Museveni, but yet Museveni is fighting wars in Somalia against Al-Shabaab. You do believe that that truly Kony is something else? Kony was Museveni, Luero was Museveni, Kichwamba was Museveni, the kingdom of I forget the kingdom of somebody remind me where Winnie Kiza comes from. That kingdom where Luero went and cut and killed a lot of people, that was Museveni. Every atrocity in Uganda has been because of Museveni's existence in Uganda. Corruption. Museveni is the kingpin of corruption. In Uganda, Muhoozi has never earned anything on his own. Everything they have is earned by Ugandans. The budget to manage State House where they live, that they've made a residence for 40 years, has been the income of taxpayers. Every day they spend 1 billion Uganda shillings on running the State House every single day. Every day. Now, tell me where Museveni help us comes from. What does that even mean? Museveni Konywa, when? When? Like when? Tell me when. Uganda today is in worse shape than when Idi Amin was there, than when Obote was there. All those people that led Uganda before. Rwenzururu Kingdom. Thank you, Kusima. Thank you, Andrew. Rwenzururu Kingdom, where people died, was Museveni. In Sebei area, there are people who have lived in camps for years. Some people don't even know about them. ASP one time showed a video of a region in Sebei region where those people have lived in camp for over 20 years, purposefully, intentionally evacuated by the government, never compensated, never given another way of life. They were left in a piece of land that they asked somebody to please let them gather, about an acre or so.
Ensonga z'obufumbo olina omwami naye ng'akutawanya, olina omukyala ng'akutawanya, bajja ne bakwagalako ne bagenda. Gwe alina ebizibu mu byenfuna nga sente zikuyita mu ngalo, w'oteeka sente zifa bufi, b'owola tebazza. Gwe aloota ng'ogwa mu nnyanja, gwe alumizibwa omutwe nga guganja okuwona, naawe aloota ng'ebintu bikozesa ensonga z'obufumbo. Nina ekifo ku mugga awali amayinja wennyambululirako ebisiraani, ekigwa, ekifiiriza, omudibo, obutaganja, obutawiibwa. Nzijanjaba abantu ab'enzikiriza zonna, nsiŋŋaanibwa njeru ku lw'ejjinja. Gwanjagala kuba ku nnamba yange eyo, naawe ali ewala ennyo yita ku WhatsApp.